What's up, everybody? Hello and welcome. Hey, Fox is struggling with some computer issues right now, so I thought I would just jump in and say hi and get the conversation going here. I am stoked about our topic today because I did some extra research for it, and I'm really excited. So, with that being said, the opening topic I want to start discussing today. Before we get into that, let's go ahead and say uh real zero easy real easy real easy. Willow Noon and Nate is cool 54321. Thank you all for the follows. We appreciate you following Save Point Ministries and everything that we're doing here. On that note, actually, hey, we're about to be going into a podcast here in a little while, but before we do that, we want to let you know that this is all a part of Save Point Ministries, which is a larger ministry organization, which has the whole goal of letting you know how loved you are by Jesus and how important you are in his kingdom, how truly and deeply valued you are. This is something that we don't understand these days, is that it's not just that, like, you need to be saved because you're sinful and bad. No, you are valued. You are wanted in the kingdom of God, and he wants you to know him more. And we think an incredible place to learn more about this is within a physical church. And so we help find people physical churches. We call them nerd-friendly churches, places that you can go and chat with them about video games or movies or D&D or whatever else, and not only not be ostracized for that, but like get people involved with you, like have other people there that are doing the same type of thing. We want to find you a place like that. So if that is something that you're interested in, you can follow the links in the chat, and we will get you plugged in there. Okay, with that being said, on the note of today, kind of what we're talking about. I'm sorry, my background is so boring. Like, it's distractingly boring for me. It really is. This week, we're finally confirmed. Tomorrow, I'm going to be tearing down everything back here and then getting painting, and then hopefully we'll have everything back up by stream next week. But before we get to the question, next week we are streaming. On that note, I think I found a game. I'm not going to tell you yet because I'm not sold on it yet, but I can tell you for sure it's not just going to be Balatro again. We'll get into that, but we have a guest next week of the name. Hang on. Wait. Bobby Wayner. Bobby is from Lingelstown Life United Methodist Church in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And he is going to be... Is this the right one? Is this a different one? Did we get another person and I don't remember? This happens to me sometimes, everybody. I'm so sorry. No, it's not that. It's this one. Nope, it's not that. It's this one. Yeah. Never mind. It's Hunter. Hunter is going to be there with us, meaning that I'm not sure what this other one is here. I think I need to go. Oh, no. Okay, never mind. It's fine. I'm sorry, everybody. You're getting all this in real time here. I was reading out one of the churches on our database that I'm finding for a client right now. Here it is, Hunter Fowler. Hunter Fowler from Challenges of the Realm. Not Challenges of the Realm. His church is Challenges of the Realm is his kind of like nerd email address here. I love it. Synergy Church is the name of his church. He and I are going to be streaming next week on the 16th. So hopefully you guys can join us for that stream. With that being said, okay. Pre-stream stuff. Pre-stream questions. Here we are. We're here. Okay. I'm ready to start doing the stuff. Ads. What are some ads that you remember from when you were a kid? What are some of the things that like you vividly remember as advertisements when you were younger? Hang on. I want to make sure. I want to check on Fox here. Because obviously there are ones that like songs that get stuck in your head, like Gillette, the best a man can get, from like way back in the day, or M&M's, melts in your mouth, not in your hand, things like that. But I was reminded of a specific advertisement that like hit my brain like a physical object with a memory. It was actually, I just thought of an idea that might actually help Fox here. Hang on just a second, chat. It was a baseball, like it was a little kid in right field, and it's the song "I play right field where the grass always grows" or whatever, however it goes, and they. I'll get to that. I'll get to what I'm trying to help Fox with here in a second. And oh wait, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Fox, are you there? Fox? Okay, I see Fox. He can't hear me, though. Hey, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Okay, hang on. He says he can't hear me. I doubt it's me. No, I know it's not me, actually. Yeah, it's not me. Yeah. Hey, Fox, why don't you just let them know what just happened there?
Something unavoidable, technical problem. It's, I try to explain it, but it's a little too difficult to get into. There's these thing called cords on electronic things, and you got to plug them in. I know it's complicated.
Yeah, it's very, very complicated. Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Nah, it's cool. Let's move on.
He said he couldn't hear me, and then he stops and he holds up the end of his headphone jack. He's like, "Whoop!" He had to plug that in. That was good.
Had to do it.
All right, hang on. You've shifted in your camera a little bit. I'm recentering you in the nitty gritty. No, curse you! It's working. All right, I think I got you. Okay, we're discussing the question. What are some ads that you remember from childhood? Some like really deep cut advertisements that you remember from when you were a kid. For me, I was talking about one that came up on a. Hang on, I'm not sending it now that I'm looking at it. On an Instagram reel, and it was like a boy in the outfield, and a song starts playing. I play right field where the grass always grows, or whatever, like that old right song. I play right field, and a baseball's hitting the air, and he doesn't know, and he kind of like looks up, and he just puts his glove up, and it just lands in his glove, and everybody cheers. Yeah, no, it's all great. It's like this really heartwarming story, and then they all go to Pizza Hut. And they say that Pizza Hut is like the official post-game pizza, And I saw this and I'm like, oh my gosh, I vividly remember this commercial.
That's pretty good. I mean, I remember a lot of like famous commercial campaign. When they started doing the cavemen and Geico. And
oh my gosh! Kind of stuff. And then that was going to be a TV show. Do you remember that?
It was, and it was like 3 episodes or something. And
then the writer's strike hit.
Oh, is that the problem?
Yeah, then it was the writer's strike. It
wasn't that it was garbage.
It was a pilot, and it was picked up, and they were like, let's start making this show. And then the writer's strike hit, and it went nowhere.
Well, it would have gone nowhere either way.
I'm confident of that. Confident. I can't believe.
When you start from a premise of this was our advertisement for our insurance company, I don't know. I mean, look, anything can be good, but that seems like a pretty uncreative place to start a sitcom.
For you listeners, a real quick explanation of this. Geico had an ad that was like a tagline. Yeah, had a tagline that was so easy a caveman could do it. And the gag was that there were cavemen that are like, hey, that's an offensive stereotype.
They're offended by the
come on, you can't just say stuff like that, man. And that was just that was it. That was the joke, and they wanted to make a TV show out of that.
Yeah, I mean, it was they made lots of episodes or a lot. See, I'm saying episodes, lots of like commercials with that concept where it just kept going, and it's like a storyline in an insurance commercial.
It's wild.
Anyway,
wild.
I think the other one I remember is, and it's also become more relevant recently because of Justin McElroy, but the berries and cream from Skittles.
Berries and cream.
Yes, I remember that one pretty.
When
I'm a little boy who loves berries and cream.
When our youth group, this is after I was the youth pastor, when our youth group was doing the berries and cream challenge, that's when I was like, whoa, Justin McElroy has like, he genuinely. All right. Hey, Fox
No.
got on a little late, so we're going to go ahead and start podcasting. Is that cool
Let's
with you,
do
Fox?
it.
Yeah. So,
Let's go.
chat, just so you know, we're going to be jumping into a podcast here in just a second. That means that we are not really going to be interacting with y'all. We're not really going to be chatting, but keep putting in your comments in the chat as if we were going to have a conversation, because afterward, I will stick around and respond to everything you guys say, or if Fox is able to, he will all stick around. But either way, we will go back and address your comments and whatever else you got going on there. But also a reminder that you can subscribe to our podcast on YouTube, on YouTube Music. We have that podcast right there for you guys to go back and listen to that. So if you're missing the live streams, you can always go back and listen to old episodes through YouTube Music. But the pre and post show chats is always only on the live stream, so make sure you're here for that. With that being said, who has the pre-intro today?
I'll take it. We're just gonna come up with an intro on the fly. I love it.
Oh, the actual intro. I had one. Dang it! What was it?
Hey, it's fine. Let's just go for it. Let's just make it happen.
Make it. Well, we can't just make it up, Fox. It's gonna fail miserably if we just make it up.
Wow, that's mean. That you're insulting my improvisation.
I had one, but I
skills.
can't remember what it was. Give me
It's
just
fine.
a second
Let's
here.
just go for it.
Okay, it's your responsibility then, Fox. Are you ready for that? If there's dead silence and awkwardness, it'll be on your head. Are you ready for that?
Oh no!
Are you prepared for that?
The crushing embarrassment.
Okay. Then I will do the pre-show. I'll do the pre-intro then.
All right, sounds good.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I got it. Okay. In 3, 2. Today on the Nerdy Gritty, do advertisements still really work?
One more world disappears inside it. Just another hopeless addict. Well, they make some man instead. If the drums don't get you, the guitars will.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Nerdy Gritty, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. I am, for a limited time only, Fox.
Double your pleasure, double your fun. It's the statement of a great mint with double des gum.
I hate this. I don't like just talking about ads. It's just pure capitalism, and it's not a fun topic for me. I'm looking forward to talking about marketing as a tool in video games, but just like, what's your favorite? What's your favorite?
You're saying advertisement is exclusive to capitalism? Is that what you're saying right
No,
now?
I'm saying it's a pure distilled version. Like that's all it is in this context we're talking about. It's just like, hey, what's your favorite advertisement?
Okay.
It's just, hey, remember that thing that was trying to sell you something? Let's
Okay,
talk.
that's
Let's give it
accurate.
free
I was like,
airtime. We're not doing anything.
Propaganda is political advertisement, like in every
Yes. Oh, I
culture and
understand.
all throughout the
Advertisement
universe.
is a concept.
Yes.
It's used in all kind of. We advertise this show sometimes, but we don't
Right.
make any money off of it. You know, it's not necessary. It's not a.
Hey,
Nice.
we have 3 subscribers on Twitch.
Oh, well then, yeah, we are capitalism.
We are the man.
distilled.
We are
Yes.
the man.
Hey, there's been bad news this week.
Uh-oh.
Sony gave in to the mob. The
Oh,
mob.
no.
The did you not hear about the whole, like, they were requiring a PlayStation Network if you're playing Helldivers 2, which is a Sony exclusive. If you're playing it on PC, I mean, it's for consoles, it's Sony exclusive. It's Sony published, I think. Then you are required to have a Sony account, a PSN account, even if you're playing on PC.
How would they check that? I guess you'd have to be logged in on.
It'd be just logging. You'd
All
have
right.
to log into it
All
to
right.
be able to launch it on Steam. Just another like
Okay.
portal you have to go through to get on there. That people were very, very upset.
That makes sense to me. It's like Game Pass, right? Like you can't play games on Game Pass if you don't have Game Pass.
But if you don't own PlayStation,
But it's a Sony-made game, right?
Yeah, look, I'm just saying.
Okay,
I'm not saying disagree or agree.
Right. I'm not saying that it's good or bad or anything. I'm just saying I'm confused why people were upset with about it. It makes logical
Oh.
sense to me. Like,
Yeah, no, I get it too. I mean, it's just like let's complain about this one thing to log into after whilst I log into these 400 other things. I have to
Yeah.
log into Steam to play a game. So like, Anyway, well, Sony caved to the masses.
Pathetic.
Is that, yeah, for our intro, I want to talk about this. Is that, should Sony have done that? Sony decided.
Hang on.
that
Your
they are
intro
caving
topic is just
into-
a different topic?
Yeah. Yeah.
How are we going to riff on this? Our intro is supposed to be comic,
We're talking
comedic,
about it.
and
Be funny then. Look,
Be-
man, I can't tell you how. I'm not going to tell you how to be funny or not.
peek behind the curtain. We didn't have an intro going to the podcast, and Fox pulled an F it, we'll do it live thing, and
That's right.
I put it on his plate. So, however interesting you think this intro is, you can either thank or blame
Yeah.
Fox for that.
You can tweet at me about it. It's fine.
No,
Um,
you're not on Twitter. Hit him up on Facebook.
You're right. You can X at me about
There
it.
you
It's
go.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, hit me on Facebook, Instagram, all of these things that I
That
still
you
have.
totally are a part of still.
Find my totally recognizable Reddit handle and DM me on there.
Here's the reality. There are two sides to answer this question, and they both come to the same conclusion. I want Sony to do that to make it easier for people to play their game, and so they're not charging people more money than needs to be charged. I am a consumer, and as a consumer, I like to spend not as much money.
Well, it's not. I mean, it's not that you weren't charged more money.
If you
You just
did
had
not
you just
have
had to-
if you did not have a PlayStation account, but you bought Helldivers on
Steam.
did you have you mean the paid PlayStation account or just a regular PlayStation?
No,
account?
no. It's just you literally just have to log into the PlayStation
Oh.
Network. You don't have to buy anything.
Oh,
It's like
That's weird.
using yeah. you
I mean, I guess
it's like
yeah.
it's like
Like
if you open
BattleNet
up,
back in the day.
yeah, Far Cry. If you open up Far Cry,
Yeah.
you have to log into the Ubisoft.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Network
Connect
or
or
whatever.
whatever.
There's
Yeah.
100 more of those. So this is just Sony doing that for Helldivers.
Well, okay, then as a consumer, as a gamer, not having to log into yet another thing is nice, whatever. But really, from the side of Sony, they should do whatever gets the most people paying money for their game, right? Like at the end of the day, that's it. Just
So
hey,
you're a big corpo shill, is what you're saying.
no, I'm saying that that's their logic is, hey, if we stop making people do this, more people will play our game and we'll get more money for it.
And you're a fan of that. I'm just trying to call you out on this.
I'm a fan of people playing games they enjoy. Yes, I am.
What is there something ironic about it being about Helldivers? A game about a fascist government, totalitarian government, like crushing the people beneath, that
They
that it
really
deems to
should
be its
have
enemies.
done like see, this is what we could riff on here. They should have done like, instead of saying all right fine whatever, they should have said, well, now you also have to put in your social security number. Like, come on.
Yes, now you have to. You don't have to sign into the PlayStation Network, but you do have to sign up for the U.S. military draft. It's fine. We've heard your requests. We're no longer going to make you do that. But if you're not part of the draft, you cannot play our game.
In the name of liberty, send
the
us your
name of
send us your
liberty.
blood and
We will make infinite clones of you to replace you when you die on the battlefield.
yes, it'll be much easier.
Killing bugs.
Hey Fox,
yeah.
Can we get real for a second?
Sure, let's get real.
I'm sad we're not playing Helldivers.
I really want to play Helldivers.
I really want to play Helldivers.
I would absolutely play it, but somebody in our play group who isn't here or listening to this doesn't currently have PlayStation Plus and only wants to pay for one gaming service, and you know what, that's respectable.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'll give him that one.
We have
That's fair.
we have a group, like a play group, but we're all dads, and so we're only really able to play once a week.
Once a
and-
week for like 2 hours is a long session.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
us.
mostly like an hour and a half. And
Yeah.
so finding something that we can all play, that we all like, that we all want, that's all on the same platform has been tough. But DRG has pretty much been our go-to for a good long while.
Right, and Helldivers does not seem to be a game that's I'm not interested in playing it solo. It really seems like you got to play it with other people to
Absolutely.
really maximize the enjoyability.
100% yes.
Yeah.
But I also want to be playing Lethal Lethal Company with you guys.
Yeah, no, I'm not against that one. I will, maybe we should talk about this more off, not on the podcast.
Well,
we're narrow
okay,
casting.
fine,
right here,
fine.
and
To Matt.
it's so narrow. It's to us and one other person.
Yeah. Okay, fine. We'll just move on. We'll move on to news.
Okay.
What
Let's do
was going to be my intro, man? What was anyway? Do you have a news article, Fox? Are you ready for that?
I do have a news article. Yeah.
What do you got?
Well, also bad news. Actually, more actual. This is not like. I mean, there's opinions on every side, but Microsoft has announced even more layoffs. They are closing. Have you not seen this either?
No.
Man, just get your head out of the sand, bro, and read up on video game news at all times of the day. They're closing 3 different studios and reprioritizing or reassigning one other studio to a different thing, basically. So effectively closing 4 studios, including Arcane Austin, who put out Redfall last year, which you might remember
Failed
did not
pretty heavily.
do very well. There's Alpha Dog Studios, which last year put out Mighty Doom, which is a top-down mobile game in the Doom franchise that I tried for I'd say maybe 6 minutes and just wasn't for me. And then the big one, Tango Gameworks. They put out Hi-Fi Rush last year.
Oh, that's right. I did see that.
Yeah. Hi-Fi Rush.
That was a
Probably the
game of the
best
year contender,
Xbox
wasn't it?
exclusive that has come out in years.
Yeah.
And nope, wasn't good enough to
Shuttering the
save them
studio.
from this round of layoffs and shutdowns.
Did I tell you, and did we talk about? I saw a video, extra credits video, talking about why this is happening, like why so many layoffs are coming.
No,
from
I
video
need to get
gaming.
back to watching extra credits. It's been a while since I've seen their
So
stuff.
essentially, what they were saying is that pre-pandemic, there was video games were on this like huge rise, and so banks were giving out loans at like fractions of a percent, right? Like the tiniest loans to video game studios, but none of the loans were locked. Like they were all variable.
And so now
return
that's
loans.
hitting.
So
Okay.
that all happened. Then the pandemic hit, and they popped even more huge, huge.
Massive.
And
Yes.
so that's why we saw Microsoft buying more studios. That's why we saw a bunch of new studios popping up. Like it was just exploding. And then post-pandemic hits, and now we're in a recession, and now all the banks' variable interest is spiking, and all these companies are saying, okay, we hired on 37 studios, and we've made 10 games. That means at least 27 studios are doing absolutely nothing for us right now. We got to let you guys go. So like there is a part of this that actually does kind of make sense. It sucks. And what it really shows is really poor.
It's
looking ahead in the future. Yeah.
short-sighted corporate thinking.
Absolutely.
We can make this amount of money right now, so let's do it, regardless of the potential the possibility maybe that there might be a downswing, and that would mean we would need. These are all decisions. They're all still making profits. They do not need to lay off these companies. They're all still making millions and millions in profit. But in their view, it leads to we have to lay these people off. I mean, ultimately, it's just the problem with the concept of ever-growing profits. That profits can never be allowed to let alone reduce. They can't even plateau for a moment.
Right.
They have to constantly be going up. And therefore, you are just constantly in this short-sighted, what's going to give us the most amount of money we can possibly make right now, or maybe in the next 3 months. And it's just so frustrating.
If you made $30 billion last year, and then you made $28 billion this year, everybody's panicking. They think your business is going to close, and they're ignoring the fact that you made $28 billion this year. You know what I mean?
Right. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter that both of those would be records potentially. It matters that the the line went down.
Line
on your
go
graph.
down. Line
The
go
line
down.
go down.
Bad.
Yeah, I mean it's such a frustrating because inevitably the actual people that are hurt in it are the
little guy.
lowest
Yeah.
rung workers, and not the corporate leaders who are making these decisions. And then even if they do either get fired or they resign, then they just get a golden parachute, and get $40 million when they leave. So frustrating. I do also want to point out that Xbox Game Studios leader announced the news to staff in an email on Tuesday, citing a reprioritization of high impact titles. Basically, it seems like we're just gonna go the PlayStation route now. We that whole thing about getting lots of studios and letting them do their thing. Nope. That was a lie. We're gonna focus on a few big franchises probably. But that guy's name, and you might have seen this guy around. His name is Matt Booty. Look,
I'm a middle schooler.
He didn't choose that name, but it is funny. And it is also easy. I mean, it's just like the CEO of, or whatever his title is, of Wizards of the Coast. Chris Cox. Nope, Chris Cox. Just interesting. They're real easy fodder when they're doing terrible things like this to put in your tweets about them. More like Matt Booty.
I feel like Microsoft is positioned to create their own market of what if we put out low income, small games shooting for the 10-hour mark.
Low budget.
Low budget, small games set for the 10-hour mark that then are meant to go to Game Pass. And
they are doing that. I mean, there are games that regularly get put on Game Pass like that.
But for them to then stop and say, no, wait, we got to do what Sony's doing. Like, don't, guys, learn. Yes.
There's a real like phobia of looking at past mistakes.
Well,
and it's very frustrating.
I also have bad news, Fox.
Okay.
Peter Jackson working on a new Lord of the Rings films for Warner Brothers, targeting a 2026 debut. That is the closest I've ever seen you coming to pulling your face off.
There's so many red flags in that statement.
Peter Jackson working on new Lord of the Rings films for Warner Brothers.
That guy has lost some credibility.
Targeting 2026 debut. They are films focused around Gollum specifically. The good news is they have Andy Serkis. He is starring and directing. So Peter Jackson is helping like production and like he's more on like producer side of things. Andy Serkis is starring and directing the Gollum movies that are targeting for 2026.
Look, man, anything can be good, but this feels like classic Warner Brothers. They're gonna make these movies and then never actually release them and count them as a loss for tax purposes.
Oh my gosh,
No, I don't. I mean, look, the Hobbit really destroyed a lot of rose tinted glasses. I think rose colored glasses. The Hobbit movies were not great, despite the fact that it was the same creative people. And it's largely seen. I mean, it was still New Line Cinema who did, the Lord of the Rings, and it's I think largely seen as they decided we're gonna automatically make money off these, so let's cut corners in production and rely on CGI and all that, and it just made it feel worse, alongside all the story issues. And I don't see Warner Brothers doing anything different. I don't see Warner Brothers is not interested in making. Putting in the money and time into a Lord of the Rings type quality trilogy. They are, it was such a funny joke to me that I thought it like at first when I saw that headline, I was like, oh, that's a funny joke. A Gollum movie?
Here's the problem that I'm like, the speed bump I'm getting in all of this is, it's gonna make money.
Oh, sure.
It's gonna make a lot of money.
Sure.
And that's kind of the struggle of choosing to make quality content compared to choosing to make money. And when you know you can make money off of mediocre content, why not just do that?
That's The Hobbit. To
And
me, that is The Hobbit.
It's just, yeah, I mean, agreed. It's weird and sad, but shows what happens like really when you are monetizing art to the extent that we monetize art these days.
Honestly, I'm really, well, I guess my biggest surprise is that Peter Jackson said yes.
I
Like it's surprising me that Peter Jackson was like looked at the state of Warner Brothers and said, "Yeah, sounds good."
I agree with you saying that he has lost some credibility recently. I think he was as happy to get this offer as Warner Brothers was to have him say yes. I think Andy Serkis is the one that I'm surprised is like, yeah, let's do it. Like, I guess directorial stuff, like he's not a big director, so maybe that was part of what
He was
attracted
a
him.
second unit director on The Hobbit, if I'm not mistaken. Like I mean, obviously not the director of the thing, but
Right.
he did a lot of work on The Hobbit. Not to mention he showed up as Gollum again, of course.
But
I don't know, man.
yeah, overall, it is not. It is a portent that it's just.
Yes. You know what I'll say? I have very actively chosen not to watch Star Wars stuff anymore because I don't need to watch everything, and I think it has had a positive effect on me where I'm just like, and I might watch it. like I am no longer the person who said I love Lord of the Rings so much it doesn't matter. Like I will go see it. Hey, I'll wait for reviews and then maybe I'll see it when it's on streaming or something.
I'll talk about it later, but I went to the theater recently for the first time in a very long time, and it was pretty cool. I couldn't pause it and go to the bathroom whenever I wanted, and I didn't have my own food there. I don't know that I preferred it.
And it was a terrible movie, but anyway,
we'll get to that later. We'll get to that later.
Yeah, let's get into the nerdy gritty.
Should we? Yeah. Let's get down to the nerdy gritty.
Yes, that sounds good.
So recently, the creator director, it is the publishing director, of Larian Studios, has said marketing is dead. He's saying that players don't want to be, quote, bamboozled. His whole point being that finding ways to put out ads and to get all sorts of like banners and all of these things. I mean, ironically, there are Crusader Kings 3 banners on either side of the article that I'm looking at here.
Marketing still exists.
Right. But his whole point is saying that it doesn't work. Word of mouth is king these days, especially among gamers. If one person says, hey, did you hear they're making Baldur's Gate 3? Everybody who cares is going to know about it immediately through word of mouth,
right,
with Reddit and whatever else. And everybody who doesn't care will either hear about it from their friends or they don't care. And so,
yeah, I mean, we should point out, this is the publishing director of Larian. Larian Studios made Baldur's
Gate 3.
Their most recent game was Baldur's Gate 3. Almost universally everybody's game of the year last year. Yeah, huge, massive game. And even this person, even with the success of that game, they have said, yeah, marketing's dead.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting sign.
Well, and it's not just him. They're also interviewed the lead developer for Slay the Spire, Casey Yano, who said that whenever he sees an ad today, his only thought is, why is an ad blocker blocking this? Like, why am I seeing this at all?
Right.
So let's just start here, because I could talk about this question the whole time. It wouldn't be a good podcast, but it would get a lot off my chest.
Sure.
How do you feel about ads in general? How do you feel about ads?
I have actually started thinking about ads recently more than I ever have, I think, because I have a 2.5-year-old child. And ads are designed to convince you of something that you might not have even thought about for a nanosecond before. They are designed not to just tell you about a product that you might be able to buy, but to convince you that you do need to buy it. Regardless of who you are, this is why it would be good for you to buy this. obviously you have things that market toward different what's the word I'm looking for, different demographics and whatnot, but that is what an ad is. And for me, I am an adult. I am, I've been around for 33 years now. Marketing will still work on me for sure. There are ads that I see that are like, oh, I should look into that. But a 2.5-year-old's brain doesn't work that way. It is, obviously developing. It is taking in stuff and not knowing necessarily what to do with it. And luckily, my 2.5-year-old son is unable to buy Baldur's Gate 3, without some kind of real mistakes coming from me and his mother, like the real next level ignoring. I forget the word. Yeah, anyway, like that would be on us. It wouldn't be on him. But when I sit him down and he watches a half an hour video on YouTube of Sesame Street or Miss Rachel or whatever, he's getting 4 or 5 ads while that happens. Because now, obviously, this is my choice, but typically he's watching it in the living room. I'm in doing dishes or something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sitting there the whole time able to skip the ads. I
Right.
absolutely could. And sometimes if I hear one, I'll go and try to do that real quick. But even other than that, we're driving down the road. He's seeing billboards. He's hearing. There's advertising all over the place.
The long said thing is you see probably 10,000 ads a day every day.
Yeah, just constantly. You might not
Just
even clock them as ads.
Yeah.
but they just exist out there. They're so ingrained in society. So all that to say is, ads have been in my brain and have been more of a concern to me because I have somebody in my life who I am in charge of the raising of, and I want them to be free of these kinds of things. I want them to be able to personally choose what they're interested in and all these things. And I get ads are just part of a society that, has a capitalistic, has a a market in it.
Yeah.
But I do think it's very important how we pay attention to them and how they are used by companies in order to market their product.
I'm going to pull this back like 8 steps.
Okay.
I have a visceral reaction to ads these days. I really do. A lot of it started with Hero Wars. Do you get Hero Wars ads?
That sounds like a terrible mobile game.
It's exactly that. It's a terrible mobile game that has incredibly misogynistic ads.
Oh, sure. Okay. I don't know if I've seen this one, but I've seen plenty of those kinds.
Yeah. And it is like, not only is it misogynistic and gross and playing to like the basest opinions of who gamers are and what gaming is, but it's also one of those mobile games that is reportedly nothing like the ads. The whole thing is it's a lie, like a blatant falsehood. And for whatever reason, YouTube constantly gives me Hero Wars ads, and I'm constantly trying to literally, I've gone and how do I block specifically Hero Wars ads?
Yes.
How do I stop and had stopped. But this in general has begun to give me whenever an ad break hits on YouTube, I get a negative emotion. I turn, and whatever I'm looking at, I now have a negative emotion too. These days, I'll watch baseball games after the fact, and there'll be ads and the ad breaks, and I'll try to skip all the ads, but I'll end up going too far, and so I'll go back, and that's still middle ads, and so I'll go too far forward again, and I'll come back, and I end up spending more time trying to skip ads than I would have just letting the ads play. I would prefer that than to watch the ads. I'm okay if I don't have to see the ads. I'm okay with that.
You'd rather have that hassle than
than to watch
passively allow the ads to just play,
because they to me these days I feel like they are either objectively and clearly manipulative, based in fear mongering or shaming or trying to make you feel
FOMO is a huge one.
Whatever it is, or just stupid, just so dumb. And so overall, man, they drive me nuts. I was thinking pre-podcast, I was thinking that what was the last ad I had a positive reaction to? The last, movie trailer or food thing or whatever else that I saw, and not neutral, actual positive. And it was the If trailer, because I love Ryan Reynolds. We all know that. The Imaginary Friend movie trailer.
Yeah.
And before that, I have no idea.
You saw, well, okay, so you're saying you had a positive reaction because it was a movie you were interested in seeing?
Yes, I saw this.
Okay,
I
I
saw
see what
this
you mean.
ad and I looked at it and I thought, oh, I want that.
Okay,
Because I have
see.
seen this ad, I want the thing that is shown on the screen. It's that one thing. And other than that, it's been like exclusively negative reactions in me. And for the most part, when I talk to people, it's the same. People talk about how annoyed they get with ads way more than they talk about how good the ads were.
Well, sure. I mean, the internet, I have a discrepancy with this statement that the publishing director made here. He says, they say marketing is dead. Marketing is dead. It truly is. I can back this up. There's no channels anymore. It doesn't work. You used to have marketing, communication, and PR. Marketing was essentially a retail theory. You were trying. I get that he might not mean this, but marketing isn't dead. It's just different. And I think that's the huge issue here, is that the internet exists now. And it's
Right.
not, we're way past the early stages where it is now understood by people and it's just used by everybody. And it is, marketing is no longer a simple, okay, we took out a newspaper ad, a TV ad, a radio ad. Up until the internet, what else did you do? Like a print, and now marketing, it's not just we put banners, it's we hired influencers, it's we put up YouTube videos, and marketing has just exploded, not solely in quantity, but in variety.
That's yes.
And that is what the difference is here. And I'm not saying they understand this. They know this, they exist in the world right now, and pay attention to this stuff. But that is what my main issue with marketing these days, or what I just don't like about it, is that it is essentially impossible, unless you disconnect yourself from the internet and other things, to leave behind advertising. That's always been true, but it is more true now. Things are now free with many asterisks. You have, your first tier, your lowest tier streaming services are maybe free or maybe just the cheapest, but they also have ads in there. So you're still paying for them, but you're still getting advertised to. Most streamers are paid to do a thing, and they're not just playing games. They're trying to sell you products while you're doing them. That exists in the news media also. That exists everywhere. Everybody is shilling something. I'm not saying everything they're shilling is bad.
Right.
I'm saying there's very little in the world these days that is pure content and not purposeful content that is at the same time trying to gain revenue from something or another.
And again, it's what happens when you have a culture, a capitalistic culture, and therefore these two things are inherently entwined. Again, neither good nor bad, just a factual statement of, we have companies inexplicably, or not inexplicably, irrevocably entwined with our culture. And because of that, there's no such thing as not being advertised to anymore. So like, what we have to realize is that when, I'm going to look at his name instead of just calling him the Larian Studios guy.
Michael Dowse.
So when Michael Dowse says that ads don't work anymore, what he's saying is, I have another article here from Marketing Insider Group, but this is back last year. This is January 2023. The title of it is "Digital Ads Don't Work and Everybody Knows It." And some stats on this says 89% of professional marketers don't think that digital ads work. Nearly 40% of clicks on paid ads are fraudulent. It's either search engines or bots or things like that. Venture capital investment in ad tech is declining by an average of 10% each year for the last 5 years. CEOs from the most recognized brands feel like digital ads are wasting money. And both big and small businesses from all sectors don't see any loss in sales after they stop spending money on ads. So these are all like when you're trying to put up your ads online or trying to get your ad here and there, that doesn't work. But the flip side is that's why we are seeing so much more hashtagging, algorithms. Like these are the things that do work. These are the things that we know work because we have evidence from like Facebook and Instagram and elections, right? Where they were a huge part of swaying, like maybe not swaying, but definitely like creating, influencing heavier partisanship, a heavier separation.
Yeah.
And then that's the entire conversation with TikTok right now of do we want to ban TikTok or not? Because it is a Chinese owned company and they have the algorithm that is directly impacting our entire generation of Americans.
Yeah.
Do we want to trust a foreign country that has often been seen as an adversary with having an algorithm that can irrevocably and undeniably influence an entire generation of Americans? So that's like the whole conversation right there.
I do think that is, I mean, it is it's a bit xenophobic because the potential ban is only banned if they don't sell the company to an American, if TikTok isn't sold to an American company, then it'd be banned. If they are that, like, they're not saying, as far as I know, they have to change the algorithm. It's just that an American company has to benefit from it.
It's
like
it's
at
saying
the same
that
time, Facebook has the same thing, Instagram has the same thing. Like, they all have these. It's just a little bit of xenophobia of it's a Chinese company that's benefiting. So
I think it could be any foreign country and it would have been the same. Like, I don't think it's xenophobia as much as much as nationalism. Just we only want Americans influencing Americans.
I only want Facebook to convince my teenage daughter that she needs to look a certain way to have value.
So
that's America.
That's America. So then the reality is that we're seeing here is, for the most part, he's kind of objectively right. Michael Dowse, like, we have the statistics, we have the word of mouth, we have everything just saying, like, hey, not only do people not want this, but it's not working either.
Right.
So what are ways? So now let's get back to specifically talking about video games, movies, kind of like our realm of consumership here on the Nerdy Gritty. What are types of ads that have worked for you? Like, what gets you to want to play a game or watch a movie? What gets you?
I mean, when it comes to video games and movies, when it comes to movies, I don't really watch trailers or anything like that. I'll see like news headlines and I'll learn about things, but I like not knowing about something if I'm going to get into it, especially if I know I'm going to watch a movie. We were playing a couple weeks ago, and you asked, like, hey, do you watch the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer? And I said, no, I'm actively not watching it because I know I'm going to see the movie and I'd rather even just not see the trailer for it, because there might be a funny joke in there that would be funnier, in the movie without having known it. So when those kinds of things, there's part of me that's just actively avoiding it. It's not because I'm trying to avoid the advertisements, because I'm already sold on it, which is the ironic part. I've already been sold. I'm already deciding to spend my money. It's just I don't need to see the ad. Like, the ad is unnecessary for me. But generally, I do like brief, honest advertisement. I understand things change. I understand that we're usually shown, like, the Furiosa trailer when it first came, the first Furiosa trailer. I did watch that one, and I didn't really like it because it seemed like there was a whole lot of CGI and stuff like that, which I was hoping wouldn't exist.
Same.
But also, I had to recognize this is a work in progress. Maybe it'll change. Should I take this at face value? Probably not. And as well as the fact that oftentimes, like Marvel movies, they will actively change their trailer to not spoil something in the movie. So you can't even take that at face value, even if it is the finished, like, product, essentially. So I'm hoping that I am a conscious consumer of advertising, that I can recognize something as an ad, but when I see an ad, I like simplicity. I like something that's like a big example for me. If I'm not, yeah, Fallout 4 was announced in June of 2015, and then it was released in November of 2015.
Yeah.
That is unthinkable today. To announce a massive game, a massive series, huge AAA game 5 months before it comes out is crazy these days. Usually you have years of like, I mean, even Bethesda does this, where here's an ad, here's a logo for this game. It'll come out in 8 years. Things like that. I really appreciate the simplicity of, hey, we're gonna have this game, come play it in a couple months. I understand you got to get, you want to market it and make sure people know about it, but
was it the 2016 Game Awards, or maybe it was E3, in which Elder Scrolls 6 was?
Let me look it up.
Because you said it's going to come out in 8 years, and I was thinking, well, that would be this year, wouldn't it?
It was 2018.
2018. Okay,
we're going on 6 years.
Yes, and no news.
Nothing else since then. Which again, I'm fine with. If there's nothing of note to advertise, then don't advertise it. They didn't have anything of note to advertise 6 years ago, but they still put out this trailer. So it's not even a trailer. It's just, here's a logo for a game.
Literally
we're
a
making.
logo.
So it's just like, I really hate the hype machine. I really wish it was a more simplistic, hey, we have a game coming out. Here's a trailer to tell you what it's like. And then the game comes out.
Well, and I think Marvel was like suffered from the hype machine, as you put it, of they got to this point in which, number one, they were believing their own hype. And then number two, they would advertise something, and just because it was Marvel, everybody would get so hyped about it. But then it would be a 7.5 out of 10. A pretty good film, but everybody would be so disappointed with it because we were so used to 9 and 10 out of 10s, like we were so used to that for so long with the big heavy hype. And then sure, they had some 6 and 5s and, not great things come out. And now everyone's like, so that we're talking about Marvel fatigue and just, it kind of rethinking the whole thing, which is going to be our topic next week, I think, is just rethinking the whole cinematic universe thing. And being able to look at that and say that there is no flawless way to do this. Like, even if we become popular, just believing our own hype and just trying to keep putting out the same thing sometimes isn't enough. And so, which is why for me, what really helps is, you said the word honest. That's a huge one for me, is just saying, this is what we're doing. Here is the game. One of my favorite developers is called Thunder Lotus. They're an indie developer, and they've been publishing a game called 33 Immortals, which it's boasting 33-player co-op, and I'm stoked about that. I'm pumped. But they said a while back, hey, we're working on a new game. Here's the logo. Then they showed a little bit of a gameplay trailer. Hey, here's what we're thinking. Then they opened up a beta for it, and then they showed a live play of it. And that's it. Like, there hasn't been any of these big ads, any banners, anything like that. It's just been them saying, here is our game. Here's how it plays. Here's what it looks like. And I am like hyped for this game. I really, really am. It looks like it's going to be so much fun. That works for me a bajillion times more than me looking at the Crusader Kings 3 ad banner right here. Right. And so,
well, okay. We need to be honest though. Part of that is that, I think probably what Crusader Kings is, at least a little bit, and it's not a genre you play. It's an RTS, historically accurate RTS game, kind of like a political relation. It's not really something you play.
No.
But if tomorrow, you saw a banner ad for, check out the new trailer for 33 Immortals. You'd watch that. You would click on it.
But I'm already interested in that.
Sure,
This is kind of my point, is I didn't know there was going to be a Crusader Kings 3. And
Crusader Kings 3 has been out for a while. But...
Sure, man. And so,
there was a Monster Factory about it.
It came out today, May 9th, right here. It's saying right here in the ad.
Whatever, man. There's been a monster. It came out 2020, September 1st, 2020. Maybe it's like a new genre or a new console
a
or
DLC or
release
something. Yeah.
DLC, but it's been out for 4 years.
Either way,
Anyway,
I mean something that's going to catch my attention that hasn't already, like something that's gonna
sure.
be a
Okay,
successful
well then
advertisement.
if it was, hey, it just had the Thunder Lotus logo and it said, check out our new game. It's called Glass Man. Whatever. That was just what I came up with. You would click on that.
I would, because I like Thunder Lotus.
Right, but it's still advertising that's working on you.
I suppose. My point is, when you're trying to hit an audience that is not familiar with you, when you're
Sure.
trying to pull in a new audience, which is a big part of advertising, right? Is expanding your demographic and getting more people
Sure.
in there. There's much, much better ways to do this. You know, integration is a really big part of this. Like having, for me, I will say that a good 25%, 1 in 4 games that I buy today are because a YouTuber I enjoy played them first.
Yep. Same for
And-
me for like a podcast that I listen to.
Yeah. And so that kind of stuff is great, integrating into something else, another product or another something that people are already consuming. But all this to say that what it really, really comes down to is community. What sort of community are you a part of that you can make this a part of that community? You know, if you're part of the Mabimbam, the McElroy family community, and then you listen to Besties and they talk about a game, these are people that you know and you trust their taste in games, and you want to try it out. If you're part of an online community of gamers and you have a Reddit thread that you guys all share, or a Discord channel you guys all share, a Discord server, and people in there bring this game up, you are going to trust that way more than a 15-second unskippable ad before a video that you've watched. You know, that would probably put a worse taste in your mouth than
Yes.
somebody just saying, hey man, I played this game and it's pretty good. Somebody that you know and that's within your community. That's what's happening with ad these days, is the impersonal is failing and the personal is what has to like be focused on now. How can we integrate our advertising? How can we integrate our whatever into communities? Man, I'm just putting ideas into marketers' head. They've probably already thought of this. I'm not.
No,
telling
you
them
are not
anything
coming
new.
up with
Okay,
anything.
cool.
What are you
Cool.
talking about?
Yeah, I just want to
been
make
having
sure
for
that I'm
years.
not
This
like
is-
yeah.
You're reinventing an influencer right now.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
That is
yeah.
which has existed for a long time.
Yeah. So, but that's the way it goes, right? Like that's where ad money should be going, not into online advertisements. It's or to put it succinctly, you're more likely to sell something in the YouTube video than in the ad before the YouTube video.
Yeah, that's probably true. I do also think, what you're saying is there is a distrust for the corporate.
Right.
We which is a little ironic because we want those corporate entities to create the games. We just want them to be honest in their advertising. And a big example of this could be like, I mean, you have it in both the indie and the AAA space. You have like Bethesda with Fallout 76, like literally saying it just works, and then the game comes out and it doesn't. Like both it's it's what it was advertised, but it's super buggy, and I mean that's just Bethesda. But then you have like No Man's Sky, which was not what was advertised. They've had a redemption story that took literal years to take place, but when it came out, it was extremely disappointing because there was dishonest. Like it was revealed that the people advertising this were being dishonest in what they were advertising.
Right.
So people want honesty from their advertisements, and you can do that in an internet ad. You can do that in a YouTube channel thing. You can do that in a 15-second unskippable. It's just that we filter those things out as consumers, I think, is more the problem. It's not necessarily the content. It's that this is a YouTube ad. I'm not interested in watching it. I clicked on a video to watch, not because there would be a fun ad before it, but because the video itself is going to have something in it.
Yeah, and you know what I think it is? I think our attention has become such a commodity for us. Like no other culture in the history of mankind, our attention span is a commodity for us. what am I going to give my attention to?
Sure.
Because there's so many
Oh, yeah.
options, so many options. And so if it is not something I'm choosing to put my attention to, and you're trying to force me to do it, it feels forced. It
Then
feels
no.
like, yes,
Yeah.
then no, I do not want this. But if it is something I have chosen to give my attention to, the Texas Rangers, and the Texas Rangers have an ad or, on their jersey is something or whatever else, that's more likely to catch my eye. Like, oh, they have this patch on their jersey. What is that? I wonder. Things like that. Like, if it's something that people are already choosing to give their attention to, that's going to be way more successful.
Yeah, no, that I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I think also there is something to be discussed in the fact that when you have higher budgeted games, let's talk about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Very expensive. It was like a $200 million game.
Yeah.
There is a lot riding on that game being successful. So you feel the pressure to spend a whole lot of money advertising that game. You put a lot of internet ads. You just shotgun blast as much as possible. You find influencers. You put ads on YouTube. You dedicate a bunch of time at E3 to advertising this game. And so it seems to me if the advertising is much more risky because a lot of it doesn't work like it used to, then a lot of that risk is reduced if you lower the budgets of your games. Like if you simply just say, okay, instead of 200 million, we're going to make a Suicide Squad game for 50 million. It's not going to be the same, obviously, but we don't have to make as much money. And people can, the budget of a game is not a factor into whether or not people decide $60 or $70 is worth spending on it. If a $50 million game is incredibly fun and super and just impactful or just fun to play, then they'll spend $60 on it. That's fine. Sure. Cool. That's worth it. This is fun. But Suicide Squad was not fun to play and had a lot of stuff that people don't like in it, like the manipulative, predatory things. And they spent $200 million on making, like, they just upped the risk for themselves.
Right.
And also had to then justify spending more money on it. Like, it makes no sense. That is a bad economic system.
But on the flip side, and more to my point, I thought all this exact same things about Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. I was 0% interested. Then a YouTuber I really enjoy was paid to do 3 episodes on it, and I watched him play 3 episodes on it, and I went from 0 interest to I would play that with my friends. If it was on Game Pass or something, I'd play that.
You're a corpo shill, so.
But just
no, I understand. Yes, regardless of all of that, we are influenced more by the people we not even trust, but just enjoy listening to sometimes.
Right.
I know that listening to besties, there's some of them have opinions on certain games that I heavily disagree with, and like I know not everything they say is going to be true for what but I like hearing them, and I think I give them trust in their ability to parse out a game and like talk about it in a way that's not just about hype and not just about the making money or whatever. And so I'm going to lend more credence to them. We are, and so the problem is companies have already done this thing where they're trying to infiltrate those ground level communities, Discord and all these things, and people know people can sniff out dishonesty.
Yeah. Yep.
People know when something is not real, when it's it's called astroturfing, when something is trying to look real and authentic and it's not.
Definitely does
people
not,
I think can sniff that out. Now there are some laws where you can't actually do that. Paid advertising has to be displayed, like has to be told to the consumer. At the end of the day, we are still making the decisions. I also want to point out that in the article you sent me about this, in the comments section, there's a lot of people saying, yeah, this is why I never let, an ad is never, I never bought something because of an ad. I think you're wrong. You're wrong about that. Ads
Yeah.
don't work on us in a simple, like, conscious way. Ads are designed to affect our subconscious. Even if you don't buy the exact product that is being advertised, they are still going to influence your opinion on things. Whether or not you buy them is not necessarily the same as whether or not that ad has worked on you. So at the end of the day, ads are going to have an effect on us, but there is still a level of consciousness that we need to have where I'm not going to. I don't agree with how that ad tried to sell it to me, and so even if I might be interested, it seems dishonest. I'm not going to buy it.
And okay, so let's finish up. Let's tie this up here with the
Yes.
question of if you had a studio, how would you be advertising your game right now?
You're right. I just make good games, so people just buy them because they're good. So
You're right. There's no chance there's thousands of genuinely good games that get buried on Steam every day.
constantly at all times. I don't know. I can't. This isn't my realm. I don't know a whole lot about this. I would hope that my goal.
You can't say that at the end of an hour-long podcast.
No, what I'm saying is I don't know how I would. If in the realm of making a game, there's a lot more pressure on you than there is.
In conclusion, I have no idea what I'm talking about, and this
I
is
don't. To a certain extent, all I can talk about is how I see ads and what I like to see in them. That is not the same as the marketing director of a company putting out a $50 million game.
Yeah,
because they are trying to do so. So if all things are made equal, I would hope that my ads, the way I market a game, would be simple and honest at all times, declaring this is not necessarily the final product. Here is what we have right now. I do think Larian did a pretty good job with like early access. They not just like, hey, here's a unfinished game, but it's in early access, so you can't complain about it. And then just, okay, now it's 1.0, but it's the same. Genuinely involved with the community in changing and supporting the game. Even just the first act of that game, which was the early access, is an incredible amount of content. Like, it's just, I would hope that a company, would advertise in a way that is honest, is simple, and also is recognizing that it is going to affect their budget. It's going to affect everything they do. And that needs to be taken into account because, like we talked about with Microsoft, at the end of the day, if something is not successful, the people who get hurt are the people actually doing the work making things.
yeah.
And if I decided, well, too much is riding on this, I have to spend another 100 million on advertising, then that's upping the risk of hurting those people doing the work.
What somebody's saying in chat here would just say, hey, if I know somebody who has a little bit more of a following than I do, here's a free key for my game. If they know somebody who's a little bit more following that, like I would try and pull in every favor, like go down every path of people that I can talk to personally to try and get that word of mouth out there, to Reddit threads that I am a known name in, or Discord servers that I'm a known name in, and just saying like, hey, not, will you guys please tell everybody about my game? I'll give you $100 for it. But hey, if you play my game, you can have a free Steam key and I'll give you $50 for it, or whatever else. Like, just like, hey, here's some simple advertising, but you don't even have to say you love it or hate it or whatever else. My goal is just to get it out there via word of mouth, to get people talking about it. I feel like that is genuinely the most successful way to do this. And then when you're a larger corporation who has social media managers and whatnot, you can start manipulating algorithms with hashtags and all kinds of things like that. So,
yeah, I mean, agreed. That sounds nice. I do think both of us are probably a little naive because there's probably 1.5 billion solo game developers who are out there making games that have done this exact thing.
yeah.
Who are genuinely don't have the money to maybe they got a table at a convention somewhere. They're trying. How many games do we walk by at PAX that we say, hey, that looks pretty cool, and never talk about again?
Yeah. have played and put on our
have
channel and
played in the demo, or whatever. Like, never talk about it again. Sure, maybe there's influence that has, but this, it is a fickle mistress that's trying to get a viral sensation. Is not something that can be manufactured. You either have to spend so much money that everybody does see it without even wanting to, or get really lucky and get X, Y, and Z influencer to say, actually, this is what happened to Among Us. That game was out for a while, years. And then some YouTuber or whatever happened to play it and it blew up. But that does not happen to everybody. And so at the end of the day, advertising, it seems like a thing that you can never fully understand or, quantify. You're hoping that you get lucky or spending as much money as possible to make sure people see it without even wanting to.
Man, video games are tough. That's why I play TCGs like Lorcana, the viral TCG sensation brought to you by Disney. I do it while eating Hostess donuts, the best donut out there. Oh no! He's gone.
I quit. No, I do. I think a lot of the video game industry's problems would be alleviated if budgets were just lowered. I think that would, at the end of the day, not solve necessarily, but help a lot of problems that we're facing.
For sure. All right. Hey, everybody, let us know what you've been up to in the chat. Let us know your thoughts on this. We'll jump into it after the podcast here. But for now, Fox, what have you been up to, my friend?
Oh, man, I have been playing a whole lot of just like, let's download this game on the PlayStation, catalog from the, the PlayStation Extra catalog and see what it's up. See what it's about. One of those would be, let me get the name of it right, because it's not very, it's called Tales. Oh, I'll go through this, but I did just hear my son. He's awake now, so
Yep.
I'll go through this one. It's called Tales of Kenzara, Zao. So Tales of Kenzara, the Zao is spelled Z-A-U.
Okay.
This is a game that is, it's like the first game put out by the studio. The studio is owned by, let me look at this. I want to get all this correct. It's published by Electronic Arts. Give me. No, this is advertising, right? Am I right? Okay, here it is. It's developed by Surgent Studios, published by Electronic Arts. The director is Abubakar Salim, who is best known as the voice of the main character from Assassin's Creed Origins. Bayek is his name. But yeah, so this game it's a Metroidvania. The story being told is of a young shaman named Zao. Actually, there's kind of a story within a story, but essentially you have to capture these big spirits in order to revive your father who recently passed away. You are going on this quest to, interacting with the god of death throughout the whole thing, and you have a lot of really emotional, philosophical conversations about moving on from death and dealing with it and being humble before it and things like that. And his goal is to eventually basically trade three spirits for the life of his father, which is very personal for the director of it, the creator of it, because he lost his father as a young person, things like that. So it's a very, very interesting story. It's very unique in its kind of atmosphere and tone, not tone, but setting. The game is very easy. There's brief difficulty spikes sometimes, but the game itself is actually pretty easy. The platforming and the combat and all that is pretty simple, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It just means kind of the story takes the focus when you're playing. It is very fun to play still. The movement and like locomotion of the game is very fluid. It's very well put together. The combat is still fun, even if it is difficult. But at the end of the day, it's not the most challenging thing.
Mm.
It's not even the most challenge. It's not even like average, and so it does kind of feel like you're just going through the motions to move the story along. It is fun though. It's on the PlayStation Plus catalog, so it's not, if you have PlayStation Plus, it's not anything. It's free to play essentially. So I do recommend trying it out.
That's what's the name of the game again?
It's called Tales of Kenzara.
Tales of Kenzara.
Zao. Zau. Zao.
All right, do you need to get out of here?
Yeah, I gotta go. All right. Bye, everybody.
Sit around, Fox. All right. So we'll finish off the podcast, just me this time. And I'll let you know what I have been up to really quickly here, and then we'll end the podcast here. But I watched the entire series of Gravity Falls with my children. They had watched Gravity Falls a good while back and really enjoyed it, and they really wanted me to watch it. If you don't know what it's about, it's basically like a kids cryptid type thing where a pair of twins, Dipper and Mabel Pines, go to the city of Gravity Falls, Oregon, which was actually, like, theoretically not far from where I live, in the Portland area. And it is a place that has like a lot of mystery and weirdness to it. And these, there's gnomes and monsters and demons and all these things out in the woods and, magic and whatnot. But it all comes down to this whole thing of like just kind of being goofy and silly. Again, it's still a kid's show the whole time. There's a lot of coming of age elements to this, liking boys and liking girls and whatnot. It is super fun. It was, if you were somebody who struggles with like fictional magic depictions, this was deep into fictional magic depictions. It really is. I do want to put that in there. I am not. And one thing I will say about it is it depicted this fictional magical depiction of these things was very much it's not good to mess around with. This isn't something to be played with or toyed with or to be considered casually. This is something that is supposed to be taken very seriously and, whatever else. Like when talking about magic, every time it's messed with casually, there's disastrous results. And so I even think, like, for the reality, as Christians, we do believe that there is, another or a spiritual realm that does have powers and whatnot to it, powers and principalities, to use the biblical phrase. But this show even like treats it as something that needs to be not just, thought of, considered flippantly. And I really like that. I also went and recently watched in theaters for the 25th anniversary, Star Wars Episode 1. Guys, I wanted to go and enjoy it. I really, really did. It was not as good as I remember. That's what I'll say. It was not as good as I remember. I honestly feel like some of the greatest actors of our generation are in this film. Liam Neeson, Natalie Portman, Ewan McGregor, some just outstanding actors are in this film. And yet they all feel very robotic often, very emotionless. And I don't know if that was a direction choice from George Lucas or what, but it's not them, right? These are good actors. They wouldn't choose like, what if I was less interesting? That's not how they would do this. So it was just really weird. And obviously the CG and stuff is way outdated, and the depictions of Jar Jar Binks and the other Naboo are really, really rough. So overall, like, it's a fun Star Wars movie. I was watching it with people who love it, they're guys in their 20s who this was the Star Wars they grew up with. And so they were giddy, they both went in cosplay. They chatted all the way there and all the way back about it. That was great. They loved it. That's awesome. And I love that they loved it. It was so much fun to watch this movie with people who loved it. It really, really was. It is not my favorite Star Wars film by a wide margin for me. So yeah. Second of all, I finished Chants of Sonar on our stream. You can go watch that a while back. And so Chants of Sonar is a very, very good game. Everybody should play it. like, I don't know what else to say about that. It is great puzzle, great balance. I talked about this last week, but the ending was a very satisfying ending. I talked about it a lot in the stream itself, so you can go watch our VOD on our socials. That's Save Point Ministries on YouTube. But we, the ending of it seemed to deliver an all roads lead to God mindset, but did a poor job doing that. Especially because part of what we talked about at the end of the stream was the idea that all roads lead to God is not as accepting and coexisting as you think it is. It's actually very insulting. You're being kind of rude to people who believe these things, because people who believe these things are making truth claims. As Christians, I'm not saying I believe that Jesus is the only way to heaven. God is real. You know, it said that Jesus died and resurrected from the grave. I do believe that, but I'm making that as a truth statement. This did happen, that Jesus is the Messiah. Meanwhile, Islam is making a very different truth claim, and these things cannot be true at the same time. They cannot be true at the same time. And so to come in and simultaneously say, you're both right in your own way, you're not accepting both of us, you are being condescending to both of us, and you are dismissing both of our very real truth claims. I would much, much rather have people who lovingly and kindly just say, hey man, I disagree with you. I think you're wrong. I love you though. Let's go hang out. Let's play a game. Let's eat some food. But on that note, I disagree with you. I would rather have that than be like, sure, man, that's right for you. Pat on the head. So anyway, it had a little bit of that all roads lead to God mindset. But I think it could be better taken as a statement about Christian denominationalism, and especially within the current split of evangelicalism and many other Christian sects and whatnot, especially when it comes to politics of like, the white nationalist evangelical side of things, Christian nationalism and whatever else, that this is all like kind of saying, hey, we are all looking and want to be with the same God. We have different ideas on how to do that in different ways, but if we can learn to communicate better, and we can learn to understand that we all are serving the same God here, and we can learn to communicate better about that, we're all going to be better for it. And when you take it that way, this game shines so brightly in such an awesome way that if we could learn to communicate better about who God really is, everybody would be better for it. So good. Chances are great. Weird West is the other game that I'm playing. It is a computer RPG, CRPG, that I'm playing on the PS5, actually. Doesn't translate great from keyboard and mouse to controller, but that's my own fault for playing a CRPG on a console. The game is really interesting. It is about, you begin as a character who's like, it's Old West, but fantasy Old West. So dark fantasy Old West. A lot of, ghosts and witches and, spooky stuff, but Old West. So you start out as a bounty hunter who's hung up her guns, and then all of a sudden your son is killed and your husband is kidnapped, and you need to like uncover your guns to go save your husband. And it was really cool and it was really fun, and obviously like you're getting enchantments on your guns and you're recruiting help from other bounty hunters and whatnot, and it was really, really great. But then you complete that mission, you fade to black, and when you wake back up, now you're a pig man. And you're like, wait, why am I a pig man now? And the first thing I did as the pig man was go back to the farm where the bounty hunter was and meet her and be like, hey, do you remember me being you? Kind of stuff. And she's like, kind of, yes. And then she travels with me, and then we do his whole mission, and then I black out, and now I'm a native kid or a native young man who's out there like hunting spirits of the land who are trying to attack people. But I also have the memories of the previous two, and it's all tying together. It's really interesting, doing a really good job of creating an overall like arcing story with characters that all play very differently. The unfortunate part is it does feel like a 6-hour game that they are forcing you to replay with different characters so you can get the whole story. That if you choose to not play the whole story, then you're going to miss out on what the game was trying to, the whole story of the game, and whatnot. But really, I'm playing the exact same things over and over again, just with a different character each time. So it is what it is. I've slowed down on it, but it's it's pretty good. A convoluted mess. It can be, for sure, for sure. Finally, I'm reading a book called Practicing the Way, written by John Mark Comer. John Mark Comer is an author and formerly the pastor of Bridgetown Church in Portland, Oregon. Now is part of the group that runs a ministry organization called Practicing the Way. And this is a book that is going to kind of what they're doing. But the whole idea is, hey, what if instead we took out the phrase discipleship or, your walk with Christ or all of these things? And what if we just made this like, hey, I practice baseball to be better at baseball. Hey, I practice Smash Brothers to be better at Smash Brothers. Hey, I practice Lorcana to be better at Lorcana. Hey, I practice being a Christian to be a better Christian. So here are the good ways to practice that. Here are the habits that you should form in your life. His whole point being that nobody goes to sleep and wakes up a saint. That's not how that works. It takes years and years of practicing your faith to slowly train yourself to be a better believer. And it is so, so good. It is wonderful and outstanding. And John Mark Comer has a very conversational way of writing, which I really, really enjoy. I've heard some people say it's kind of hard for them to read. I could understand that. For me, it's exactly how I would write, and therefore it feels very, very natural and flowing to me, though. Again, it's very conversational, the way that he writes. Overall, if you're on the older side of things, he reminds me of a modern Max Lucado, where it's just a very practical advice for believers who just want to continue growing in their faith. This isn't the deep theology. This isn't the deep, deep stuff. This is just, hey, here's how to be a better Christian. So, so good. So, yeah, hang on just a second here. That's going to do it for us, guys. Thank you so much for listening today. Hey, we want to remind you that all of this is a part of the greater ministry of Save Point Ministries, in which we are trying to help you know how wonderful and loved you are by Jesus, and just how important you are to his community and his kingdom. That's what I was going to say. His kingdom. You are valued, deeply and truly valued. We want to help you find a place where you can learn more about that. We call them nerd-friendly churches. If you would like to learn more about that, come check us out at SavePointMinistries.com. We want to say a really big thank you to Granger for the use of our theme song, All My Friends Have Wi-Fi, and so do most of my neighbors, off the album Dear Sam. Thank you, Granger, for the use of your song. Thank you again, everybody. Reminder that we will be chatting with the chat just after this, or I will be chatting with the chat just after this. We stream this live every other week. Thanks again for being here, and always remember that save games, save lives.
My voice sings all night, and this is what my heart sounds like. It's what my heart sounds like. It's what my heart sounds.
I'm back. All right. Let's see. Going to go back through the chat here. Let me get the chat in front of me so I'm not like weirdly looking off to the side here. Again, apologies for how boring my background is. Kyrie, really active in chat today. Thank you so much. Glad you're here. Glad you're chatting with us. Hi-Fi Rush did so well, and they just said no to that. Shake my head. Microsoft, the multi-billion-dollar company, doing stupid stuff. Yes, like this company made a game that was unlike anything that everybody had ever really made before. I guess not unlike, but taking things that people have done before and perfecting it in such a beautiful and fun and accessible way that was so wonderful. And then to be like, sorry guys, guess you're not, it's not going to do it. That's wild to me. That is wild to me. Let's see. Oh, Greta Gerwig. Yeah, Greta Gerwig as the director for Chronicles of Narnia is an odd choice. I think she's a great director. I think that she can do a very good job in a lot of different ways. I loved the Barbie movie. My wife watched the Barbie movie, loved it, made me watch it. I fell in love with it. Then we both made our kids watch it with us because it's just that good, right? Like the message it had is so real and so true, but tells it in such an accessible way. It's wonderful. We love that. But is she right for a Chronicles of Narnia movie? That I don't know. Because Narnia is such a different, like it's an entirely different genre, right? It's a high fantasy type genre. It'd be like getting like Martin Scorsese to direct the next Lord of the Rings film. It's like, look, Scorsese's an Academy Award-winning director. He's incredible, but is he right for Lord of the Rings? Like, is that the right call there? So anyway, yeah, Greta Gerwig is a weird choice for that. Let's see, what else do we have here? Yeah, like the gaming industry didn't learn from the Atari, right? Them almost ruining, yeah, 100%. And yeah, the China caught multiple times trying to spy on us with drones and blimps. Let's not forget that. Yeah, man, it's complicated, right? If we're going to say we're a free market economy, then China should have all rights to be part of that free market economy. But at the same time, we can't say it's nothing. We can't pretend that it's not a possibility of crazy stuff happening there. So it's a really complicated issue. If you guys have never heard of the Holy Post before, I am a huge, huge supporter of the Holy Post. They're a podcast network. They have their flagship podcast called the Holy Post, but they also have another one called French Friday, in which they have former Air Force officer, lawyer, and theologian David French talk to Pastor Sky Jitani, and they just talk about some modern political things happening and how it's going. And they, a few, like last month, I think, talked about the whole TikTok issue. And it was such a good conversation, like on the ideas of like trying to say, hey, this isn't nothing. But at the same time, banning TikTok just sounds un-American, right? Like it sounds so dystopian. So it's weird, but it's a really good podcast to listen to. I recommend listening to it. Let's see. How about getting a 2-hour ad with AFK with earbuds in? When I saw that in the chat, and I was wondering, there was like an Apple concert that they were trying to put in as an ad for a while, a 2-hour ad. And I was like, no, I don't want that. If any studio can make one of the best games you ever made for under $1 million, maybe companies stop trying to license every expensive song, voice. Yeah. That's so true. Just that I feel like there needs to be more trust for indie studios. Everybody wants the next massive AAA hit, but I think it would be a safer bet to invest $1 million in 1,000 different games than to invest $1 billion into one game. Like, I honestly think that would be a better investment. Let's see. Yeah, I kind of want to advertise on Reddit, YouTube. Yeah, get some big names to play it. Yeah, get the stuff out there. That's smart. Let's see. Oh, based in Boring, Oregon. Yeah, for Gravity Falls. The idea is supposed to be in the Boring, Oregon area. And I'll just say, again, I don't want to dox myself, but I live near Boring, Oregon. It's true. Some things are better left as childhood memories. It's true with Star Wars Episode 1. Again, I love that people love it. In fact, to me, watching it with the two guys that, like, this was their childhood movie and they loved it so much was so much fun. It genuinely was. I enjoyed the movie more because I watched it with them. I loved that. I really, really did. I'm so happy they loved that movie. Man, it was not for me. Let's see. Remind me of a YouTube short I saw where the dude is claiming that a lot of false religions believe Jesus is a way, but that their nonsense was also a way. Then to point out that Jesus said there is no other way. Yeah, it is the whole idea that all, all roads lead to or all paths lead to the mountaintop, that all roads lead to God or whatever. It's not being accepting. It's telling everybody else that they're wrong and you're right. We're making truth claims. Tell me that you disagree with my truth claim. I respect that more than you just saying, sure, kid, that sounds great. Yeah, make it sound like a convoluted mess. That's Weird West. It can be rough. It is. Let's see. Yeah, is she the writer-director for an IP built around Christian parallels? Right? Yeah, not so much. AAA studios were just not trying to have so many people work on the game, like $20 million. Like, yeah, they'll have to lay so many of them off. Have a good AAA games, they don't flop. Also that, man, yeah. Well, everybody, hey, thanks for hanging out, you guys. This has been fun. Glad to chat with you all here. Glad to see you guys here. Thank you so much one more time to Nate is Cool 54321 for Willow Noon and Real Easy for the follows. You guys are wonderful. I appreciate you being here with us. For you in the chat, Star Patron, Kyrie, everyone else, thank you guys so much for being there. Reminder, you can jump into our Discord, which is right here. It's good times. You can also check out our socials. Yeah, all other cool stuff is going on. But yeah, thanks for being here, guys. I love that each and every one of you are here today, but always remember there's a church out there that would love it if you were there. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.